Hey everyone, welcome to Nib Picking. My name is Steven and I offer an artist perspective on fountain pen reviews. Today we're going to talk about a fountain pen that is near and dear to my heart. It's the first fountain pen I ever bought before I knew what a fountain pen was. I was just looking for something interesting to draw with. And it is the Platinum Preppy. This is a well-known fountain pen mostly because it's so cheap. It comes from Japan. And it looks almost like a disposable fountain pen, but it is in fact refillable and it fits a converter if you buy it separately. I do have the Platinum converter in here. I'll show it up in detail in a little bit. Today we're going to talk about this pen. What are its features? What are its parts? What does it look like to fill it with ink? I'm going to do a drawing sample, and then at the very end we're going to check in and see if this is an art supply. Do I recommend this fountain pen for artists to use? Okay, so here's the pen up close and personal. You can see that it's got kind of a traditional shape. You might even confuse it for like a regular cheap ballpoint pen if you're not looking closely. It's quite thin. I do like that. It feels comfortable in the hand. You can see that the top part, there's a plastic clip that connects here. And down towards in the center of the cap, you can see there's a little plastic cap inside there with a spring up on the top. So this is called a slip-in seal, and it's something that you see in a lot of platinum pens where the little cap goes over the edge where the nib is, and when you push it in, you can actually see, you can actually see it move as it goes in. And the idea behind that is to keep the ink from drying out if you spend a lot of time away from your pens. So that could be a very valuable feature. When you take the cap off, you can see the nib. And this is a Platinum fine nib. And you can see it's got a little P for the logo for Platinum. And it says 03, which is what they call their fine nibs. If you get a 02, that's an extra fine. You look at the barrel, it's clear, it's plastic. There's a lot of information on the back, including a lot of things in Japanese. This is worn because I've had this pen for quite some time. And there's a barcode stamped on the back. Some people really don't like that. If you don't like that look, you can go for the Platinum Prefonte or the Platinum Plaisir. Both of those are in the under $20 price range, and they have the exact same nib and section and feed. So when I take off the section, the barrel here is plastic, comes right off there. And you see this is the Platinum converter, which did not come with the pen. You have to buy that separately. It was about $6.50, maybe $7 on Amazon for me, and I find that to be worth it, even though technically that costs more than the pen. You get a really great pen when you add the two together. So I'm going to pull off the converter. You can see how it works. It's a twist action converter. When you turn the barrel, the plunger goes down, and it creates some air resistance when you pull it back. There's a suction, and if the nib and the section is facing the ink, it's going to draw ink up into the converter, which that'll be your ink supply while you're writing. Finally, we have, these are the last parts that I can pull apart for you. We have the nib, which pulls right off. It's kind of different looking from a lot of fountain pen nibs. It's very small, it's very compact, and that's kind of the way that this Platinum Preppy is. It's a very compact pen. The other thing that you can pull out is the feed. So this feed is made of plastic. The ink travels up this little ridge on the bottom, and probably the camera's not going to pick that up very well, but there's a little ridge cut in here. And that goes into this section, which is the part you hold with your hand. It's round, and it's got this interesting little kind of section where there's all of these little divots in the inside, the piece of plastic. I've tried to pull that out before, but it didn't really go, so I'm thinking that is not supposed to be pulled out. So I'll just leave it like that. And those are the parts of the pen. All right, now let's get it inked up. Since I do have some platinum ink, I thought I would use it today. This is Platinum Carbon Black. It's pretty expensive. You can get it for about 20 bucks on Amazon, but it's a really good quality ink, and it's super black. It's one of my favorite black inks. So we're going to use that today. And what you're going to do is take the cap off. There's all that ink in there. There's a plastic piece in there that keeps the ink in a shape where the pen can take it up easily. It's a nice feature of the bottle. And I'm going to take this section, and once again, when I twist it down, the plunger goes down. When it goes back up, we're going to be filled with ink. So pushing it down and pulling it, twist to pull it up. There we go. Okay, and if you notice the first time that you do it, there's not that much ink in there, so you can go back and do it again. And you might get a little bit more. And you know, with these plastic containers, sometimes they have the ink inside, but they don't, the ink has to flow into there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cap this really tightly and securely. I'm gonna turn it upside down, let the ink flow into the top, and then we're gonna try that again. Okay, definitely, now you can see we got a lot more ink there. And I'm just gonna take this, and I keep a little piece of paper towel or tissue to help me with this part, just kind of clean off the nib a little bit so that we don't have any unexpected drips. Okay, and that handles that. We're going to put the barrel back on. And now it is time for a drawing sample. All right, so a couple of things I want to say as I start this drawing sample off the top. One, this pen is not filled with the ink that I filled it with. Originally it was Platinum Carbon Black, which is a great ink that I love. But when I started using it, practicing for this drawing, it kind of clogged the feed a little bit. The feed of this pen is quite sensitive because it's extra fine. And so I had to take it out and put in Noodler's Bulletproof Black, which is also a nice ink. I'm not sure if you can tell from here though, it's not 100% black. So that was kind of a problem. I'm sketching downtown Daegu in South Korea, which is where I bought this pen. As a matter of fact, there's a stairwell in the corner, and that's where I came, where the stationery store was that I first bought this pen. When I was looking for something cool to do art with, it kind of changed the way I do art. I was a little nervous to do this sketch because I'm not very good at backgrounds, and I'm actually a little bit nervous about my ability to draw crowds. So you'll get to see something that I'm not very good at, which I think every artist that's on the internet should give you a chance to see what they don't create well. The other thing is that this nib actually was giving me a little bit of problems, like it was clogging a little bit while I was trying to get my lines out. So I think it needs a little nib maintenance. Even still, it's a great pen, super fun to use. It's also super cheap. You know, $5 to $7 is really, really cheap for a pen, and you get a lot of value for that. So definitely a good recommendation in the Platinum Preppy. So yeah. That's my drawing. I hope you enjoy it. Now the question that remains, is it an art supply? Is this pen something that you would use for art? And I would say not only yes, is it an art supply, it is one that I use all the time. Even though I don't really buy expensive fountain pens, this is such a cheap pen. It's $5 to $7 depending on where you buy it from. I definitely have pens that cost upwards of $30 to $40, and this one is reliable. Really, it gives you such a great thin, fine line. You can do reverse writing with it to get an even finer line. For how cheap it is, it really is a great value. So yes, I do recommend this as an art supply, and this is something that I recommend you check out, especially if you're new to fountain pens and you want to find a cheap way to get started, and check it out, see if it's something you'd like for yourself. And that's all we have for our video today. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any feedback, or if you've experienced using this pen for art. I would love to see what you have created. And we'll see you all next time with more nib picking.